Ash. How's it going?
Oh, I'm living my best life.
Can you hear the birds outside? It's really sunny and warm. Sorry if this is making you jealous, but it's like really nice outside.
I'm in the middle of a blizzard, so thank you.
I'm sorry.
That does sound sublime. It sounds absolutely decadent. I want to be outside in the warmth with the birds.
Oh, well, we'll have to spend a summer in Mexico sometime. Or a winter, not a summer. Good God.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm good on that.
It's beautiful.
Winter sounds more my speed.
Mm-hmm.
As long as it's not in Minnesota.
I love Minnesota winters, though.
Me too. I do, but I also hate them.
I miss Minnesota so much. I think about it every day. I think about all the people out there and the snow, and I miss it.
That makes me so happy to hear. I'm definitely a Minnesota apologist, and I feel like once you're here, you just kind of like fall in love with it.
I really did fall in love with it.
Isn't it sweet?
It's magical. I mean, it feels like a fairy tale.
This has just turned into a Chris Lindahl ad, I think.
Oh, wow. What a perfect transition, because people who are not from Minneapolis do not know who Chris Lindahl is. And that's because it's a meme.
Ooh. That sounds familiar. Pray tell, are memes the topic of today?
I believe, according to our lawyers, the topic of the day is memes.
Just memes, nothing else. We're not allowed to talk about anything else that they brought up on Thursday.
Yeah. Right? Actually, my lawyers did inform me I do have to make a correction. Last week, I said that the quote, brevity is the soul of wit, was an Abraham Lincoln quote. It's not. It's Shakespeare. But, you know, what's the difference? I'm American. It's all Abraham Lincoln, isn't it?
Exactly. I'm glad we're on the same page.
All right, so we're talking about memes today. That is our topic. And do you know the feeling I got when I understood the Chris Lindahl meme? I think the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't know what this is. And I'm confused. And then once I started seeing the ads around town, I was like, oh,
that's such a niche meme. Where are you, like, how did you come across Chris Lindahl memes outside of Minnesota? That's crazy to me. Like, that's so popular on r/Minneapolis. It's hilarious.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, when I first moved to Minneapolis, I saw the memes, and I was like, what the heck is this? And once I understood the memes, that's when I felt like a local. Like, there are two things that make you feel like a local. One is getting asked for directions and actually being able to give them directions correctly. That makes you feel like really local. But the other one is just it's getting the memes. Like, if I told you the difference between like North Park in San Diego versus El Cajon in San Diego, people in San Diego are going to be like, yeah, big difference. That's hilarious. But you wouldn't know because you've never lived in San Diego.
It feels like you're speaking Klingon at me. I literally have no idea what any of that means.
Exactly. And so when I decoded the Chris Lindahl meme in Minneapolis, which I guess we should explain. I feel like this is an awful inside joke that we just spent 5 minutes talking about, and like maybe 90% of our listeners won't get it. And I want the listeners to feel this moment right now, because it's the moment when a meme doesn't work. And we'll talk about what makes a meme work. But
way to tie it back in.
Mm-hmm. So the Chris Lindahl meme, it's just a silly billboard that exists in Minneapolis, and it has been like co-opted into a sillier format, and that's all I'm gonna say because we're an audio platform. We're not visual. We're not gonna show you the meme, but
we could describe it.
It's a dude with his arms stretched out really wide. It's
Not
Lindahl.
just a dude, the Chris Lindahl.
And
I think the necessary context here is that he runs a realtor group, and I'm going to assume it's probably the biggest one in the Twin Cities. That's my guess, because he has the advertising money to put billboards up every 10 feet.
Yeah.
They're crazy. I had a nightmare the other day, and I've been meaning to tell you about it. I was on like this really long drive, going somewhere, I don't know where. And like I saw all these billboards, and I was like, oh, thank God, we're leaving Minnesota. There are no more Chris Lindahl billboards.
Wow.
And I took a nap in the car, and when I woke up from the nap in the car, we were heading back home, and it was all Chris Lindahl billboards for like miles, and I started crying.
It's as recognizable as like the IDS building.
It's insane for people from Minneapolis. But yes, like it's so commonplace that the meme was inevitable. Like, he turned himself into a meme by placing his image everywhere.
He embraced
exactly.
it. Yeah. So now we're gonna actually talk about memes and not this one niche reference, because the reason we're even talking about this is the theory of memetics and the actual evolution of what a meme is, by definition, not evolution, by definition, what a meme is. So, Ash, I'm going to throw it to you because you did a little bit more of the backup research, like the way back research on memes.
Oh, shucks. I scoured the Wikipedia page for several hours, and I would consider myself as much of an expert as Richard Dawkins, who came up with the word meme in his 1978 book, The Selfish Gene. So Richard Dawkins, being a very highly respected and misunderstood memester himself, I'm sure you've seen a lot of his images circulating the internet. He's a biologist, and he's an incredibly smart man, and he proposed that memes are kind of this new form of communication that we have, a way of spreading like symbolism and different cultural themes through imagery. And it's all kind of like precipitated by this grander idea of like an inside joke. It's not necessarily humorous in nature, but the inside joke being like you have this knowledge that is only propagated by the meme itself, the medium itself, which is very interesting. So he was being kind of like broad when he first brought it up. Like he didn't ever expect that memes as we know them today would be what he was thinking of. He was just more so proposing a more advanced form of like communication that would become commonplace and, mammals in our evolutionary period. You know what I'm saying? So he came up with the word memes as kind of like a portmanteau of genes, which is his wheelhouse. And what was that word? Memento? I'm not good with... I can't pronounce it. I've always been bad with that. But it's the Greek word for, like, sharing.
Well, I have the definition for memes as... they behave like genes. So the whole, like, Richard Dawkins thing is where this kind of pairs up. Because it's something that behaves like a gene in human behavior, and it does so by repeating, replicating, mutating, and evolving. So it's a Darwinian... It has a Darwinian basis. And of course, like, we're gonna spout all this stuff that sounds like really dry and educational, but that's not what memes are nowadays anymore. I mean, memes, the definition of the word has evolved along with the memes.
I feel bad because I was just like trying to remember the word. It's my meme, I think that's how you pronounce it, because I believe it's all long forms of the vowels, which means imitated thing. Yes. I just wanted to make sure I made that clear. So it's my meme. My meme? I'm pretty sure. Oh, who knows? Whatever.
Well, like a mime, like a French mime.
Yeah. Exactly. Mm-hmm. So it's interesting to me. Like, that's kind of the inside joke, like the insider knowledge that like belongs only to this medium. It's because
Mhm.
it's imitating some previous iteration of itself, which is kind of meta. It's, like, now I'm kind of tripping myself out.
So there are two things in the study of memes. And like I said, like we're gonna sprout all this stuff that sounds really like academic, just as a basis because memes have evolved by nature. That's what memes do, and now the definition of meme is something more of just like a joke. Like all
Yeah.
comedy is memes now. There is no difference. But so there's two things that create a meme, and one is creative reproduction. So taking an idea and reproducing it, or remixing it, or redefining it, but taking an original idea and reinterpreting it in some way. And then the other thing that makes it is the intertextuality, which is the fancy word to say like it combines two different things from either different cultures or different like backgrounds in general. So one example that I wrote down, which to me is hilarious because this is already a dead meme on TikTok. Like it's not even a meme anymore. It's past its prime. But it's the mashup of CPR by the artist's name is Cupcake. But but the lyrics are pretty inappropriate and pretty funny, but it's remixed with the Maroon 5 song Misery, which I didn't even know Maroon 5 was still around. And it takes like the really upsetting, like sad, I don't even want to say sad because it's a pop song, but like Misery is just like, I'm in such misery, there's nobody to comfort me. Like it's supposed to be this like self-deprecating or like sad song, but then it's remixed with a song about giving CPR to certain body parts that are sexual in nature. So
I see you.
it's this like inherently sexual song remixed with like a I feel sorry for myself song. And the fact that it comes from two totally different like styles of music and totally different like ideas of lyrics and they're mashed together, that's what makes it really funny. And then that became a meme and then it got remixed again with the the like company jingle for Reese's Puff cereal.
I want to sing it, but I also don't want to get us landed with another lawsuit.
Exactly. So it's just, it's getting like layered into all these different remixes. And I guarantee you at some point that is going to get remixed into like Mad World or some like other really random weird song.
I quite like that.
Yeah. Well, I'm not going to do it. I'm not a remixologist.
I'll take new words for 500.
Remixologist.
That's pretty good. No, you should brand that. I can think of so many people on SoundCloud that would just love to have that moniker.
All right. Well, if someone didn't already trademark it, it's mine. You can use it for free. I'm not good at monetizing things. You can just use it. It's all good.
Yes, welcome to our podcast. It is free to listen to. You do not have to support us at all.
No. I mean, I'd like some food, though. If someone wants to send me, like, a bread basket, I'd love that.
I'll take, like, pickles.
Yeah.
If people are willing to mail pickles. Those keep. Also, I just like pickles.
Anyway, not to digress. Memes.
Well, I wanted to ask you... I kind of hinted at it a little bit in our pre-recording whenever this podcast actually started.
Oh, yeah.
Do you know what the first meme was?
So my guess was Lemon Party, which is probably wrong, and kids don't Google that.
I'm not going to lie. I don't even know what Lemon Party is. And I feel
man.
bad.
Okay, so this is when I start to feel old, but continue.
So the first meme was Baby Cha 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 or Dancing Baby. I'm sure you're familiar with Dancing Baby. It's A
No.
CGI baby that's standing upright
Yes.
and dancing. It's Uncanny Valley, black background, and it was
Yes.
quite viral. Like, it was shockingly viral. And
It's
I'm
still
surprised
around.
yeah, it's still being riffed on. It's still a successful meme.
And when did this, where and when was this dancing baby born?
I believe it was 94. It was sometime in the mid 90s, but I believe
Oh
it
my
was
gosh.
94.
This meme is as old as I am then.
Wow, that's crazy. You are the same age as the first meme.
I think I am the first meme.
That's excellent. You heard it here first, folks. For fake's sake, the first meme was none other than Asbury. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, everyone.
But anyway, it was just like an example of what CGI was capable of the time, and whichever production company made it and put it out, like, they weren't like looking for virality. They're just like, look at what we're capable of making. Isn't this cool? It's fucking 94. And it just blew up, and it appeared in like really mainstream places too. Like, there were TV shows that would just feature it for no reason. Like, I'm sure there have been so many reactions to it on YouTube.
Yeah, I'm sure there's a Seinfeld episode where there's a CGI dancing baby on George Costanza's head. So,
if there isn't, Larry David, I have a suggestion for you. I think this one's poppin'. I think it'll bring in the views. I feel like this episode is going to lose the plot because we're talking about memes, and intrinsic to their nature is just how not serious they are.
Yeah, we're gonna have to really ground ourselves here. If we ever need to like come back to the topic, we're just gonna shout memes. So memes. Do you know like where the dancing baby first appeared? Because my guess is gonna be on some sort of, early chat forum.
I couldn't figure that one out. I honestly, I didn't even think to look that up. When I was reading up about it, I couldn't figure out where it was first posted, but I'm sure if I Googled it, I could find it out real quick.
It's not that important. But I wanted to bring it up or like ask about that because, that's originally like memes did start in the mid 90s, and early internet was mostly just like forum pages, or really it was just mostly forum pages. But in 2005, this small little website decided to share videos, and it was called YouTube. And that evolution of the visual to the audio visual to the video era of the internet brought in audio visual memes and video memes, such as, and I'm going to list some off here. Tell me if you recognize any, all, or none.
Okay.
Sneezing Panda.
Yes.
Chocolate Rain.
Chocolate Rain.
Well, those were the only two I had on the top of my head. But you do recognize them. Like, how old are
of course.
they? Have I actually seen either of those videos? No, I haven't.
Seriously?
Yeah, no, but that doesn't mean I don't know what they are.
That's no.
Well,
I'm sorry. That was a bit aggressive. It surprises me because for me, they were inescapable. Like, if I didn't watch the source material, it was being referenced somewhere else in full, so there's no way for me to not be familiar with it. Similar to Dancing Baby, which was featured on Ally McBeal and like CBS and like all the like. Some of these videos made it to like morning news. So if I wasn't on the platform it was released to, I was seeing it elsewhere, reported on from other media sources, which is very interesting to me. Like,
certainly I've seen Dancing Baby, but did I ever like go out and sit down and watch the full YouTube video for Chocolate Rain? No, but I've heard it referenced so many other times, even on TV shows, South Park, Community, shows like that were really embracing meme culture.
I feel like that's an interesting intersection there. We associate meme culture with, well, as an online phenomenon, when interestingly, I feel like memes first became popular when they were referenced in like TV shows. Like, this is awful that I even have to reference it, and I apologize in advance. But you know the newscaster lady who's, like, stomping on the grapes and she falls down and makes all those funny, like, crying sounds? Well, I had never seen the source material until Family Guy did a bit on it. And Stewie was the one, you know, stomping the grapes and falls off. Like, I thought that was hilarious, and I didn't know that it was referencing a meme. I didn't realize it was a meme in itself. Like, I think I finally saw that video for the first time this year.
That's a good point you made just now. Because how many memes do we see nowadays that we don't actually realize are memes? Like, how many jokes do we see or hear on average that have been so evolved or are so old that they are, like, people don't even recognize them as memes anymore. Do you know what a milkshake duck is?
Oh, that's a weird string of words. No?
Okay, so you've never heard the phrase milkshake duck?
No, I haven't.
Okay. I'm gonna bet you, if I were a betting man, which I'm not, but I would bet a lot of money that anyone watching or listening to this who's younger than I am will not know what a milkshake duck is. And it's not even that old. I think it was like 2015 or 2016. But basically it's the earliest form I know of, like, internet cancellation. You're familiar with Pixelated Boat, like the Twitter cartoonist, right?
I'm not really on Twitter. Are they only on Twitter?
No, they're on other platforms. If I showed you one of his comics, you'd probably recognize it. I don't know his real name, but he coined the phrase. Whether or not he originated it is up for debate. But basically, the joke is, like, a duck goes viral because it's drinking a milkshake, and everyone's like, "Oh, how cute! Look at that duck drink a milkshake." And then, like, 5 minutes later, it's like, "We're sorry to inform you, but the duck is racist." And it was like an internet phenomenon that, like, someone would go viral, and shortly after, you know, their dirty laundry would be aired or whatever. Do you remember Chewbacca Mom?
That one's more familiar. Like, if you explain it to me, I'll be able to unearth it from the recesses of my memory.
I think it was after episode 9 of Star Wars came out, right? That came out in 2015?
Sure. Was it 2015? Time is an illusion. Sorry, continue.
Well, anyway, like, after one of the newer Star Warses came out, I think it was episode 9, Hasbro made this mask that you can put on your face, and then if you open your mouth, it makes a Chewbacca sound. And some lady bought it and immediately recorded herself being like, "I'm Chewbacca! Ah!" That was the whole video. But she went, like, viral. I mean, I was looking this up. It's so crazy to me. Within the span of a month, I think it was like 4 weeks from when she recorded that video on Facebook Live, she got thousands of dollars of free merchandise. She met personally with J.J. Abrams. She got her own toy, I think. Like, she did recordings for her own, like, version of the mask or something. The mask sold out of all stores because it was so popular just from her video. And she got, like, free scholarships. She got free money. She got a bunch of, like, rewards points from Kohl's because that's where she bought it. And she mentions it in the video. And it was this whole, like, it was basically just a marketing steal for a lot of people because she went viral. Everyone kind of piled onto it. I think even Mark Zuckerberg invited her to Facebook headquarters because she did her video on Facebook Live, and he was like, "Oh yeah, you're gonna, like, represent this whole new world of, like, Facebook Live or whatever." And it, you know, I'm sure she went on Ellen because that's something that used to happen when you were viral. You just get invited on Ellen.
I'm pretty sure you're describing another nightmare I once had.
Getting invited on Ellen.
Or being invited to hang out with Mark Zuckerberg.
Oh yeah, both of those things. That's like, oh my gosh. If there was an anti-birthday party, like the least desirable party on the planet, it would be two people, and it would be Mark Zuckerberg and Ellen DeGeneres. Um,
Cheers.
but anyway, like people just turned on her because they were like, she just got a bunch of free stuff because she's a white lady and it's like white mediocrity and on full display because a lot of black people go viral who don't get the same kind of like awesome treatment. Or she turned out to just be like really religious and people were like, oh, that's off-putting now. So I guess it's like a very mild form of milkshake ducking. Anyway,
I still don't entirely understand the milkshake duck thing. Like, is that something that I'd have to see with my own eyes to understand the full scope of?
I barely described it, but essentially the joke being that the duck is revealed to be racist. Nobody likes the viral duck now. So anytime someone goes viral, it's almost like immediately something in their past is uncovered and shows that they're actually kind of a person. Excuse me.
That's interesting. So, like, milkshake ducking, like, as a verb could be...
It's cancellation.
Yeah, or, like, just digging into someone's past and finding receipts, as they say.
Yes. That's another way to say it. And it became extremely popular on Twitter. And this might actually be why you didn't recognize the term. But I still don't think a lot of younger people would, and I don't even want to call you young, but like people younger than me. I mean,
fair enough.
We're not talking about like 13-year-olds who use TikTok.
Good. Yeah, exactly. Fair point. Full disclosure, Az and I are in our 20s, if that wasn't clear.
But people who didn't use Twitter in 2015 probably wouldn't recognize that term. Now, everyone knows the term cancellation, though, because it's crossed all platforms. And actually, probably the Me Too movement is what really put cancellation in everyone's vocab.
Oh, there's so much I could say about this. I don't want to move away from memes. I'm sure we'll address cancellation in another episode, but, like, that's a rope that will lead you a very, very long way. I think it's been going on for much longer than we think it has. Just look at the whole political correctness movement. That was kind of like the same vein when you think about it.
Sure, yeah. When did that start?
The 90s. That was the 90s.
The 90s?
I
feel like it started earlier.
Well, the political correctness phenomenon was 90s. Like, Alex Jones comes to mind. But, it was very popular. As kind of like so in the 80s we had a conservative movement followed by a slight, like, increasingly more liberal movement in the 90s, and we had counterculture, we had grunge and punk and all that, and I think that was the resistance to it, was PC, political correctness. And then as we entered into another, decade or so of conservatism, we're coming back out with, what you could call like woke culture and like increasing LGBTQ plus awareness and increasing racial sensitivity. So, like, now that we're in this epoch of our lives, like, I think those conversations are going to resurface again, but under a new moniker and slightly more nuanced than before.
So I was thinking of like PC political correctness starting before that, because I was thinking of women's lib in the 60s. And this actually is a really good point in describing kind of how memes mimic genes. I mean, that's why they're called memes. That's at least why Richard Dawkins calls them memes. But they evolve and reproduce and mutate. And so the idea of, like, women's lib and bra burning and, like, fighting the man kind of evolves into, oh, it's actually inappropriate to do that because women have been liberated, or, you can't use, I remember, like, you can't call people black, you have to call them African American, and then eventually they were like, well, not all black people are African American, and the, like, evolution of what is to be PC. I remember a while back, don't quote me on the dates, but I remember there was like a big movement in writing. Like authors felt like they had to include more diverse characters, which I think a lot of TV shows kind of do that now too. What do they call it? Like the token black character or the token gay best friend. You know,
right?
There's a better word for it, but I'm blanking on it right now.
It's tokenizing.
But then, yeah, it's tokenizing. But then it evolved that, you know, they don't, the general population didn't want white people writing black characters. They actually wanted black authors instead of white people pretending or like trying to write a black character and doing it wrong. And this is something I talked about with a few friends because I would think like, okay, if I'm only writing about things that I have an experience in, obviously, you know, if I want to create diversity in my stories, I can't write from different races, right? Like I can't, if I want to have a non-gender conforming character in my book or in my story, like I don't know what it's like to be non-gender conforming. So is it inappropriate for me to write? It's like there's this whole conversation behind it that we don't really have the answer to right now.
I certainly feel one way about this, and I think that the attitude I take with it is damned if I do, damned if I don't. So I think what it comes down to is just like how earnest you are. Like I wouldn't write an entire story around someone whose identity I could in no way relate to. Like no matter how thorough my research is, I wouldn't dare touch that because I'm still not that person. I don't belong to that group. I didn't live it. And it's always going to be tainted by the lens that I am who I am and I belong to my background. So what you should do instead, and you don't have to live by my word, this is just how I view it. What you should do instead is try not to think in the scope of certain identity groups. Like write characters that are authentic to you and authentic to the world they belong in. But like, don't try to like shoehorn people in because you think you need to meet a quota. Like be honest with yourself. I think the problem that we have is like we're trying too hard, you know? Like it's about being educated and it's about being honest and respectful. It's not about trying so hard to make other people feel seen when all you're doing is pandering.
I mean, if you have artistic integrity, yeah, write what you know and write with sincerity and don't just make up a diverse character because that's what people want to read or that's what makes money. If you have artistic integrity and you're a moral creator, if you're just someone writing a TV show or writing a movie that is really big budget, you don't do that.
Yeah.
You're not gonna only do what you know or only be like faithful to yourself as an artist because, you know, not everyone wants to read about someone exactly like me. How many characters out there exist that look, sound, and behave like I do? And doesn't matter who you are, the answer is going to be a lot of people. We're not that unique from one another, I think, a lot of the time.
Here.
Yeah. But bringing it back to memes, I wanted to bring up nostalgia because I think that is kind of what's trending, what's memeing nowadays, and that might actually tie into the whole conversation of like identity, because I think what we're really getting at here is that memes tap into a form of identity that I think is what ultimately makes them successful. So like we were saying, people who live in Minnesota who live in Minneapolis who get the Chris Lindahl meme, it's probably because they have this sort of identity with Minneapolis. And they think it's funny because they're like, oh yes, I personally can relate to this phenomenon that comes with living in Minneapolis.
Right. I feel like there's a hierarchy of obscurity to memes, and the more obscure the meme is, the more meaningful it is to you, because then it's more tied into like the idiosyncrasies of your personality. Like For example, I know there's an entire subculture of like weebs that are really into guns, and I've seen their memes, and it's like, that's incredibly niche. Or, you know, we can bring it back to Chris Lindahl. Like, only people who are from Minneapolis or have visited are going to be familiar with that. And because it's so like intimate, it's so special and kind of specific to you, you find more belonging in it. Versus you'll have like these much larger memes, like these wide scale memes. I'm trying to think of one, like Thanks Obama. When Thanks Obama came out, that one's much more universal. It caters to like not even an American identity. At that point, it's kind of like a worldwide identity, because like, you know, we can have our fun with it as Americans, but there's no doubt that there are plenty of other people across the world that like laughing at Americans too, you know? So it's interesting to me. It's just interesting to me the levels there are to it, because I think you're onto something with the sense of identity. And I think there's a level of nuance to it in like how reachable, how accessible it is to like any one single person.
Right. I mean, without a doubt, memes are born from personal experience, which is what defines our personality, right? Our identity. Yeah. As far as like that universal thing goes, I think that brings up a good point, because I wrote down rumors as a potential for memes, like the Thanks Obama thing. It started out not entirely as a joke. I mean, it started out kind of serious. It was like, oh great, I can't get health insurance now. Thanks, Obama. Like, and that was a phrase used more by the right, politically speaking, on the right. And then it was co-opted by the left as like kind of a joke, right? And I remember when TikTok started out, everyone would make this joke about like TikTok being a Chinese spy app, because it started out in China first. And then those rumors become jokes, and then those jokes become synonymous with the actual thing, and then you can no longer really differentiate what is a meme and what is reality.
It's interesting how memes take on a much more serious light when you start to politicize them, but that's the case when you politicize anything. But one thing that especially concerns me about memes, so full disclosure, I'm not anti-meme, which is a weird way to start a sentence, but I am kind of repulsed by them. Like, very few of them make me laugh, and on the whole, they kind of gross me out at this point, because I've been inundated with memes my whole life. I've seen the evolution of memes, and I've certainly seen like the intentionality of memes and how they've evolved. Like,
they have branched out now. I mean, there are different kinds of memes. There are, as they say, dank memes and political memes, of course, like the old Pepe's, or the what is it called when it's like the deteriorating image. Like, there's nuked memes. Thank you.
Nuked. Deep fried.
You can tell which one of us is older. Yeah, I don't know half of these words, but
sorry, it's just because I'm on Reddit.
No, that's okay. I'm on Reddit. I just don't. I'm not on Reddit that much. I used to be on it a lot more. I used to be on Twitter. I used to be on the internet a lot more. I don't really use the internet as much anymore. It's probably why I don't know memes anymore.
Well, speaking of the internet, the thing with memes evolving on, online platforms is I've seen them take this weird turn into spreading misinformation rather than conveying, like, innocuous information. So memes are usually, like, playing off of a phenomenon or an inside joke relating to another piece of media, etc. But then you see stuff from, like, I nearly called it Toilet Paper USA. Turning Point USA. I'm so sorry. If you're on that subreddit, I love you. But you see stuff from Turning Point USA and, like, InfoWars and Occupy Democrats. And it's like, that's the point where memes are being co-opted for perhaps a very malicious or ill intent reason. And that I would love to get into that territory a little bit. Not super political, but just talking about how memes can be used to convey information that they, whoever made them, want the audience to believe. And it could be, as big as, saying that the 2020 election was fraud, to people are lacing your kids' Halloween candy with heroin needles. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. And I mean, a lot of memes come from the sort of InfoWars, Alex Jones, 4chan stuff, because a lot of people use memes, and I'm trying to put this delicately, but I think a modern sort of role that memes play, it's a way of laughing off what feels like very serious. I mean, how often do I hear on a daily basis either friends or other people on some sort of social media app refer to this time in our world politically as like World War III or impending nuclear apocalypse or just apocalypse in general. Like, a lot of people feel very disenchanted, politically speaking, because we're so aware of everything that's happening in the world now. As Russia is amassing troops on another country, which they do every 5-6 years, by the way. First it was Syria, now it's Ukraine. I mean, that's what Russia does. But now everyone's like, here comes World War III. Let's make jokes about it. Let's make a meme about it. And I think a lot of people use memes to sort of try to make light of what they perceive as a very disenchanting and potentially nerve-wracking like development in the world. And that's where these sort of misinformation memes can pop up.
Well, it's the same dilemma as reading the headline, right? Like, even if you're giving a very honest recount of whatever it is you're trying to proliferate with your meme, you can still omit information that leads to a skewed interpretation of the text that you put on the meme or whatever it is. So that's why there's so many levels to it. I hate saying malicious when it comes to intent, because truly I don't know what people's intent is. I like to believe on the whole that a lot of people mean what they put out into the world. They truly mean it. And it's just levels of like, well, where's the truth in this statement? Where's the truth in this world belief? Like, how much can I take from what this person is saying and incorporate it into my own worldview? And how much of it should I just leave out because I think it's incorrect? Like, memes are so bizarre because they make information so easy and so accessible, and there's no room for nuance. And that's the thing that I'm fearful of. And it could be because I come from a background in academia. When you have to write so many papers and read so many sources, it's like quite ingrained in you why people use so many heavy, loaded words to describe one concept, because things get lost in translation so easily.
Well, and that's a really good point. I mean, bringing up memes in comparison with headlines, or what we used to refer to as clickbait. I don't know if kids still refer to it as clickbait, or if clickbait is still like standard practice for a lot of online media outlets. But I mean, memes, jokes, social media, that's all part of mainstream media. That is all part of how we consume information today. I mean, everything that we consume is mainstream media. And that word, or that phrase itself, is kind of heavy. I mean, because of certain memes like Bernie Sanders or Donald Trump, like political memes, those two words now carry a pretty heavy, insinuation, and it all comes down to personal responsibility. I mean, that's the thing that I don't think we encourage enough in consumption of media in general, whether it's news, social media, YouTube videos, whatever. There's a certain personal responsibility in not believing everything you read on the internet. I don't know why people stopped doing that.
Well, because it's so tied into popular culture now, and even with people that we consider trustworthy sources, like social media is now a place where everyone's on the same even ground. So you could be posting about your grandmother's Thanksgiving dinner on the same platform that Barack Obama is talking about, doing this talk in Lexington, So I don't know, it seems very easy to me to conflate everything with being truth or with being reality, because we have no other frame of reference online. Online is a completely different place from reality. And I think the thing is, we just need to learn to be discerning. Like, it's not even just with what we read online. Like, just be discerning everywhere you go with whoever you interact with, no matter how much you respect them. Like, be a critical thinker. And not like in that cringy keyboard warrior way. Like, I'm not trying to say, like, if you believe in God, you're a sheeple. Like, just, like, listen to people earnestly, but also be critical of what they're saying.
You just referred to so many memes just then, and I really hope no one is listening to this and thinking we're speaking Klingon, because...
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I'm realizing now that that's okay. Just a part of my nomenclature. Like, I unintentionally speak in meme.
Well, and that's because, that's our generation. There's certain things are just so niche, and there's a perfect word for it. Like in German, there's a word for everything in German. We don't have that in English, so we use memes to describe them. Like, a keyboard warrior is such a perfect description. I've also heard it referred to as, like, a couch activist, but those two things are not exactly the same at all.
No. And it's
there's
weird.
No other way to put it. Yeah. What I was going to say was that with this sort of onslaught and incoming wave of disinformation, or rather information that cannot be trusted, we also have this internet phenomenon of debunking, which I adore. There's a YouTube channel, which apparently not as many people know about that I thought, but Captain Disillusion, who debunks videos for a living. That's all he does. And it's like, something goes viral on the internet and he's like, I'm going to tell you exactly how they did that with visual effects. I love that stuff. And I wish there were more people like that. There's one TikToker who debunks, like, archaeology myths or archaeology, like, trends or whatever, what people say on the internet. That's like, did you know that this is actually why the earth is flat? And it's like, H-Bomber Guy is a really good example, too, of this. Or, like, ContraPoints. Like, all these think piece YouTubers. I love YouTube, by the way. I spend most of my internet time on YouTube, if that's not obvious.
I mean, me too. You're in good company. I spend more time on there than I would like, and it's strange. I'm not entirely sure what other people's YouTube habits are. I like to imagine they're very niche and catered by the algorithm. So if, like, they're really into baking, all they see are baking videos. But for me, all I'm really recommended is, like, art theory and video essays, which I really enjoy. I think that's the broader thing we're getting at, is video essays are such an interesting art form because they're kind of like the anti-meme. It's rather than dispersing, like, little information as quickly as possible, it's, dispersing as much information as slowly as possible. And I really, really enjoy the trend of YouTube videos just getting longer and longer and longer. If I see a YouTube video that's 3 hours long, I'm like, hell yeah, sign me up.
Oh my gosh, I still have to watch that Doctor Who video essay you sent me.
Oh, yeah?
Was 5 hours, not 4, by the way.
It's by JXC, you guys. Make sure you go give them some love.
Yeah, I think, there's, as with every other, like, artistic or cultural movement, there is a counterculture movement. There is a reciprocating sort of effect. And by the way, I wanted to point out, like, I think it's so funny that my YouTube habits are extremely innocent. Like, I just watch some of the silliest and funnest and cutest stuff on the internet, probably because I hate consuming that in any other form. Like, I hate consuming it on a movie level. First of all, why are movies 3 hours long now? Every movie is 3 hours long. Every
Yeah.
single movie.
I only like my YouTube videos to be 3 hours long.
Yeah. I want YouTube to be 3 hours. I want a movie to be an hour and a half. Which one do you think makes more money? um, but no, I think like that countercultural movement is what's really kind of blossoming out of memes. And let's be real, they become memes themselves. I mean, the whole like, who are you going to sell your houses to? Aquaman? That's from a video essay, and that is a really good meme. And people bring it up all the time, whether they know the video essay or not.
It's so recursive, and that's why I find it metatextual. It's just it continues to evolve and then become itself again, like this big nasty Ouroboros of information and digital humor.
I mean, and that's the like age-old question. Is time cyclical? Are trends cyclical? I mean, that's why I wanted to bring up nostalgia, because I think it's really strange that a lot of trends and memes right now are about like the 90s or the early aughts, and it makes no sense to me. I genuinely think the whole Free Britney movement is only because it was a meme. I mean, Britney Spears became a meme a long time ago, and that's the only reason she's still like in the popular stage, I guess, because she shaved her hair one time, you know?
Right. And oh, that's a tricky one. But the thing is, the meme served her. Like the meme was of service to her, which I think is important. Like, not all of these trends are malicious. I would say on the whole they're innocuous, and they take on individual meaning depending on where you are in your life, and in some instances where you are in the political spectrum. So it's like a series of phenomena, you know, that just continue to copy themselves and like, you know, change themselves and reintegrate themselves into popular culture, sometimes, you know, wearing old visages and sometimes looking like something completely new, but it's all fundamentally the same thing.
We'll have to do a whole other episode on nostalgia, because I think nostalgia is a universal experience. Look, we're not experts.
Yeah, we're just friends talking, like, and we feel like the things we have to say are things that a lot of people feel, and we just want to like give a platform to it. And please disagree with us if you want to. Like, we're not here to tell you how to
Dude,
feel.
I would love it. Yeah. I would love it if everyone would disagree with us. We should get canceled just for having opinions.
I was planning on penciling in a cancellation after we do our cancel culture episode.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, memes, in case we forgot. I don't know, I feel like I've said all I really can say about memes. I mean, I could definitely say more, but I'd be just running around in circles at that point. I feel like we got to the central thesis.
Which is?
Excuse me, for the class, I hope you're taking notes. Memes are a way to disperse information and reinvent information. It literally means to replicate. It's a mirror of something, which is, you know, a means of communication that we use today, both for humor and political reasons sometimes. And, you know, as artists, we have to interrogate them because it's visual media and it's used to communicate a message. And that's part of the reason why we care.
I like the idea of certain friends that we have that we only communicate to through TikToks, Vines, or memes, where you don't actually have any real conversation, but you send each other a TikTok or a meme, and you just think, oh yeah, I thought of you when I saw this, and it's like, oh, you thought of me, thanks, and then that's
lovely, isn't it?
That's the whole friendship. Isn't it? Isn't that just like it's this way of communicating that really doesn't have to carry any actual communication? It's just, you know, it's becoming ephemeral in a certain way. Like, I don't have to express to you what came to mind or what I thought of or what I wrote down. It's just like, hey, a light bulb went off in my head, and I want this light bulb to go off in your head too. There's a lot of like implied communication in memes.
And I think that's why it's based off of genetics, because truthfully, we overcomplicate our relationships, at least from an evolutionary standpoint. Like, before we could communicate with, innocuous grunts and like blinking our eyes or skewing our face one way or another. Now we send memes because it doesn't require as much forethought. Like, all the forethought and heavy lifting was done for you. Now you can communicate with someone very easily.
And I do genuinely love that. I love how much information can be carried behind. And this probably is just, as a cartoonist, I have to say that once every episode according to our lawyers. As a cartoonist, I have to just adore the fact that so much can be communicated without words, without any actual language. I mean, we can use images, we can use references, we can use memes to communicate something extremely complex, and that's kind of what separates us from the animals. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, we're still animals, but we're much more complicated animals. At least that's what we want to believe.
Sure, yeah. We're animals with nuclear weapons.
Uh-oh. Never a good idea.
Ayo.
Don't mix those two. Ayo.
Ayo.
Well, did we cover all of our bases? Is everyone
so.
in the know on memes now, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, look, I love memes. I really do. And I think maybe you have more of an anti-meme sort of attitude than I do. But I think, much like with any form of communication, there's good and bad to it. But memes for me are like the German language. Do we have a word for Schadenfreude in English? No. But I know exactly what it means. And that's what memes are.
Oh, that's excellent. I'm really glad you brought that up. Excellent. Well said.
Oh.
Also, for clarification, just, on the record, I am not anti-meme. I have my reservations. I have my tastes. I certainly send memes at least once every day. But I would say I'm more anti-meme than you are.
Well, I won't go so far as to say this is a pro-meme podcast, but I think we should end this as we began it by thanking Chris Lindahl for giving us a great meme to talk about today.
That was such an excellent segue. Thank you, Chris Lindahl. We couldn't do it without you.
We really couldn't. I don't think Minneapolis could function without you anymore.
Oh, no. Now you're going to make me sad. Let's not be sad. Let's just think about Chris. Let's go out with our arms wide open.
Wide open, baby. We'll do an episode on, like, West Coast versus Midwest. That would be really fun.
Oh, no. Are we going to, like, take sides? Is it going to be a debate?
God, no. The Midwest would win. Like, we already know that.
God.
All right. Okay, closing thoughts on memes. I love them. Ash is not as in love with them. I think that's it.
Yeah, for the most part. Yeah, that's it. Like, we have thoughts about memes. I don't feel one way or another.
Much like in Futurama, I have no strong opinions one way or another.
It's such a good quote.
It really is.
I live by that quote.
And I wanna look on YouTube because I know that the last time I checked this, that video, that clip on YouTube had an equal number of likes and dislikes. It has. What does it not tell you how many likes and dislikes it has now?
They got rid of the dislike bar. You can't see it anymore.
You're joking me. When did that happen?
Very recently. It was January.
Oh my God, YouTube. What is wrong with you?
We could talk about that. I mean, there's a lot to say about that.
Well, listen.
Not this episode. We're in the middle of wrapping it up.
We're done. I just want to say I have no strong feelings one way or another. Great clip on YouTube. It used to have an equal number of likes and dislikes, and I am disappointed that it no longer does.
What a sad note to end on. I'm sorry. YouTube, you failed us once again.
Once again. Way to go, YouTube.
Once again.
All right.
You guys just can't win.
Doing everything wrong. All right. Well, let's go ahead and finish it here. Thanks so much for listening again. We really appreciate the support. It's been awesome making these few episodes. I can't wait to make more. Ash, It's great talking to you.
Yeah. Oh, it's great talking to you too, Sperry.
We hope to hear from you guys. If you have any strong opinions one way or another, hit us up. I mean, we're on the social medias, and we have a Gmail account that you can reach us at if you're old school like that.
Yeah, we'll share that in the social medias too. Please, like, you don't have to reach out if you don't want to, but if you have thoughts about the podcast or maybe even suggestions for what you want to hear us ramble about, please feel free to reach out. Both of us would be happy to hear from you.
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you.